Today I'm joined here with Karue Wachira, and he is an author. He wrote a book called Tattoos Speak, and he is from Kenya. And today we're going to be talking about his background and why photography and writing this book was so inspiring and important. So thank you for coming in and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
So can we start out just a little bit of background on you, your life in Kenya, and why you decided to do photography and express art through that way?
I don't know what to say about my background in Kenya. I grew up in a family of four siblings, so 2 boys, 2 girls. And it was a pretty normal family, a family like any other middle-class family. Photography, I've always been an artist as far as I can remember. I have practiced art in very different forms. I've drawn, I've painted, I have done poetry, and I remember I was always interested in pictures. I read pictures better than I read words. I never read books. I didn't like reading books that were chapter books. It was also always picture books. I enjoyed looking at pictures. And I don't know why it started, but one day, maybe about 10 years ago, I thought, I really want to try my hand on photography.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who's really, he's a genius. He's an artist and a scientist. Mm-hmm. And he had a camera, and he told me, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you my camera and send you out. Luckily, I lived in Nairobi, and so my love for nature drove me to shooting nature. And I took his camera and went to the Nairobi National Park and took pictures and brought them back to him. And the deal was he's going to look at the pictures and he's going to let me know whether I'm going to waste my time or it's something I should pursue. And he looked at the pictures and he told me, dude, there's so much you don't know about photography, but you definitely have the eye.
Yeah.
I think this is something you should pursue. To some extent, I owe my pursuit of photography to him.
Oh, that's really incredible. And I was looking at some of your pictures on your website, and they are, spectacular. They are absolutely gorgeous. And so coming to Canada, how was that, or why did you choose to come to Lloydminster and, create a home here?
That's an interesting story. I met a girl in Kenya. Turned out she was Canadian. And we dated for a while and got married and lived in Kenya for a while. At some point, she decided to try it out in Canada. What we were going to do was compare our life in Canada and our life in Kenya and decide where to stay. We still haven't made a decision. But anyway, so she applied for a job and she found a job in Lloydminster, a place I'd never heard about before. Yeah. But I love new experiences, and so I thought, why not? And so she moved here, and a year later I followed. And I remember moving here, and it was in the winter. And what was funny is that winter was brutal. Yeah. But I loved it.
Wow. Because
it was a different experience from what I was used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible. I've never really heard anyone say that they loved winter, but no, that's, obviously being from Africa, it's probably always pretty warm, and coming here and experiencing a true Canadian winter is definitely something you can't experience anywhere else.
Yeah, I was glad it was that brutal because I'd always wanted to experience it.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's been the worst since I've been here.
Yeah.
But I was really glad that I got to experience that winter at such extreme winter.
Definitely. Yeah. And just quickly talking about your book, Tattoos Speak, why did you choose to create a book around people's stories on their tattoos?
Yeah, I have always I have a dream to be part of the change in the world, to bring people together, to encourage people to see others as not necessarily equals, but be able to respect other people and their choices. In a sense, to make this world a better place. Yeah. Totally inspired by Michael Jackson. Yeah, and I cannot explain how this idea came to me, but I usually have ideas
Yeah.
that, unfortunately, most of the time I don't pursue. And I feel like all ideas, to pursue them, ideas I get, I will need funding, right? And what happened was, with this one, I met a couple ladies who I was shooting, I was taking pictures of, and they told me, you know, you can get funding for your work,
Yeah.
right, if you had a project. And that evening, I had this idea, and I cannot explain how, but I understand how this idea is close to me. And what I did was I applied for it. I applied for funding for this idea. I didn't get the funding. But by the time I got the letter telling me I'm not getting the funding, I had gone so much into it in my mind that I thought, I will do it slow, and eventually it'll become something. I'll get out of it. I'll produce it. And Tattoo Speak for me is just a way of how we see each other. It is not just about tattoos.
Yeah.
I chose tattoos because I feel like, to some level, it's a controversial topic.
Yeah.
But the idea behind it is was to shoot tattoos and tell the stories behind them, and not just what a tattoo means, but what the tattoo means to the person wearing it.
Yeah.
And that is giving us a better look at the human wearing it. And with so many stories, what I'm hoping it will achieve is when someone goes through the book, apart from just the beauty of the tattoos, to read the stories, then you start realizing these are stories you as a person, whether you have tattoos or not, can relate to. Then you start seeing them as other human beings, not just as those guys in tattoos, right? And if you can get there, if I can get a few people to start seeing it that way, then it's not just about tattoos, because now you're challenged to see what else have I been very controversial about, yet it's something that is I can relate to. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for coming in. That's an incredible story, and you know, it really speaks volumes to people, especially with tattoos, being able to share why they got a certain tattoo and what it really means to them, instead of people just looking at them like, oh, they put ink on their bodies and stuff like that. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks.